Hi, hello, and welcome to Capricorn Venus Tarot. This is Capricorn Venus. So today we're going to see, what do people admire about you? We've got 4 piles, a lot of my little hand creams here. So the first pile is going to be the Soap and Glory hand cream. Pile number 2 is the O'Keeffe's Workin' Hands. Pile number 3 is this Mont Blanc perfumed hand cream. Smells really good. That one's a new one. And then the last one is the Healthy Hands, Stronger Nails hand cream. So go ahead and pick your pile, and I will see you guys in there. All right. Okay, pile number 1. What do people secretly admire about you? I do feel like you smell really good and people admire this. Also, you have a very peaceful aura here that people admire. People like how calm you are. You seem reliable. Like if you went into a job interview, they would believe that you're hireable. You know, like you have that quality of, I just believe that you're trustworthy. You have a trustworthy sense about you. And I really admire that. You also seem to have a cool head that people love. People admire your accolades as well. I think you have like literal things people admire, like a degree or, you know, training in something, or like a proficiency of some kinds that people just admire in that way. You seem well-rounded as well. Like you have a steady quality to you that I think a lot of people admire, but also like it's kind of like a light touch. I think there's also something about you where people would be unwilling to say something rude in your presence. I think you have like an air of respect or something where people don't go to certain stories or certain kinds of ways of talking when they're around you. Like everybody kind of puts on a nicer voice or something when they're around you. Or they admire how you keep everybody in a good space. Like if you're leading a group or something, like you know how to keep everybody calm, or you know how to keep everybody happy and enjoying themselves, but like to a low level. Like, because there's also this sense of you stopping the friends from, you know, kind of doing something crazy, you know, or like you can keep everybody with a level head. Okay, what else do people admire? And I think also like they admire your you know, level head, somebody who, you know, knows what not to do and what to do. Like you seem to know the boundaries, or like you have a good intuition about how to stop things from getting too rowdy. You know how to de-escalate. I think that would be one way to put it. The High Priestess and the 6 of Cups, and I was getting the High Priestess heavy for you because there's this sense of everybody like quieting down when you're around, and people admire how you do that. People admire that you have this internal kind of power, but it's like it's in your general demeanor. So I think people also admire the way you move with confidence, and they admire kind of your ability to not be easily startled. Like you can't be intimidated or something like that, because you are kind of that person. Okay, 6 of Cups and the High Priestess. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you are in a serious industry, or you're in something where the stakes seem very high, and you're able to keep everybody from being too nervous or too panicked, or you set everyone at ease. I'm just seeing you like work doing something dangerous, doing a dangerous job, but keeping a calm head and making sure everybody feels calm. You're very much a team leader here. I just see you as like if you're a manager, people really, really admire you. Or if you manage others in some capacity, people definitely admire you. 9 of Coins. Okay, so 9 of Pentacles is all about being independent and also well-liked. Yeah. I feel like you are a favorite employee, or like you're a favorite member of the friend group, or you're like one of the favorites. So you get like the special treatment or something. And so people admire this about you, that you're well liked, that you have a good reputation among people who know you. Yeah, because I do get the sense of this being admired at your workplace, especially because they can bring you in on projects, or they can bring you in to a situation, and you're able to work with anyone. Yeah, I think a lot of people admire your ability to work with anyone. You're graceful too. I think people admire your stance and the way you, and we did talk a little bit about this, like the way you move, because I feel like it influences how people treat you. But I think maybe you have your head held high, or maybe you're a former dancer, or former, swimmer or something, where it's like you had to, it's like more graceful in some way, you know? Okay, the Fountain. Interesting. Yeah, you bring something to every situation, and people really do admire this. They admire how you just seem to be like a well of information. Like, that's the kind of thing I'm getting, is like you're a well of information, or you're like, you have like a fountain of youth. That's another thing. I feel like you do have a youthful quality, which makes sense with the 9 of Coins, which is like somebody who is like the eternal bachelorette or something like that, where people find you to be youthful and somebody desirable as well. But it's kind of cold like that. I think people admire this in you. They just admire that you're desirable, admire that you look beautiful every day at work or something like that, or look put together every day. Okay. There is a lot about like your cool head here, and maintaining your emotional state, or like maintaining composure. There we go. Like, you're really good at maintaining composure. So this could also be like if you're an actor or something like that. Never breaking character, or never laughing when it's a comedy scene or something. Like, you would never do that. I used to hate that when I would watch SNL and they would break. I was like, you guys are supposed to be the best here. Just me being a snob. But anyway, I feel like you have that level of, you maintain your composure and you do what needs done, and you're very cool-headed about it. And I'm admiring that. But also, again, people love you. So it's like a sweetness as well. I feel like you know how to not make a big deal about things. I feel like that's what I'm tapping into. It's like you will fix things, or you will be the best on a project or something like that, but you don't make a big deal of it. Or you will come into like a situation where 2 people are arguing. And again, I keep getting work for you. So I really am seeing this at work. Like, you're really good at navigating disputes among your coworkers, and they admire this about you because you also do it in a way that doesn't make either party feel called out. So that's a good managerial quality here, which I really feel like you have. And if you're not in a job like that, then I just feel like people are admiring your diplomacy, you know? You're really good at dealing with their annoying friend that they bring in or something like that to the game night. It's like you always know how to loop everybody in, but also like, make sure that everybody plays nice. Interesting. Does what they're supposed to do. Like, you wrangle the rowdy ones too. But again, not making them feel called out. There is a lot about you being reliable here too. and like very important, or somebody who, I think people admire that you bring a lot. When you enter the project, it gets turned around. Like you might be one of those kind of fixers they send in for certain things to kind of turn the project around. I remember my dad had this job where that was his job, was he would go from business to business that was failing. Like he would go in knowing that business is failing, and then he would change this and this and this and hire some more people and then give them rules. And then, you know, his job was to make sure the performance was 30 times higher than when he went in, you know? And so I feel like you have that quality, and maybe it's about your own life, or maybe it's about like when you give advice, that's what it feels like, is like you're really turning things around in a way that makes sense to people and has a cool head and doesn't make them feel called out. Yeah, I think a lot of situations make sense for that, but people really admire this about you. Also, maybe you're like a personal trainer, and so people admire the results that you've gotten from your clients or something, where they're looking at the 30-day before and after, and they're like, wow, that you really turned them around, or something like that. Yeah, if you have a service-oriented position, then they definitely are noticing the before and afters of your clients, or the duration, you know, very effective turnaround time or something for a problem. Okay, what do people admire about pile number 1? 9, 11, and 3. So that's Sagittarius, Aquarius, and Gemini. And it's also the 9th house is all about like higher education. It's also travel. So yeah, people could admire the places you've traveled to, or that you seem well traveled, or you're interesting. Like I like to hear about your educational history or something like that. And we were talking in the beginning, something that people admire could be literally your educational experience. But it could also be like your life experience is interesting, because yeah, with 9, it doesn't have to be just higher education or travel. It's like things you learn. It can also be self-study. Yeah, and expanding. Some people even feel like it's like expanding religious things too. So maybe you have knowledge about that. Don't have to, but yeah, if you do, I think people admire this about you. People admire whatever your knowledge base is, honestly. And then 11 is Aquarius. So people also admire, like, you're kind of a humanitarian. We were tapping into that with the diplomacy over here of like, you're always the person mediating or whatever. But again, very well liked, because you're also like kind of a charming figure, because the 9 of Pentacles is like somebody charming, somebody everybody wants to talk to. Everybody wants you on the team. Even though maybe you're like a fixer or whatever, I think people want to add you in on a project because you're good company. Like you upgrade the conversation that people can have as well. So I feel like you'd be the type to get a quick, what's that called? Your sent up the ranks. It's a very easy word. I can't remember it right now. Anyway, promoted. That's what it is. You'd be the type to get promoted really fast, and you might think to yourself, well, why did I get promoted so fast? Well, I guess I am really good at my job. Yeah, but you're also really good in conversation here, pile 1. I really feel like you're fun to talk to. And so when you're fun to talk to, that's a skill. That is a skill. And it deserves praise, and it deserves you being sent up the ranks. You know, and so I feel like you would be the type to get promoted quickly if you're, you know, in any kind of situation, just because of your charm, which is a good thing. And people admire this about you, that you can use that charm, and you can use your education, and you can use that combination, because Gemini is also about conversation and creativity. 8 of Cups, Knight of Wands. Okay, so this is a new part too. I think also you are just kind of funny. And so this might be why you're able to keep it lighthearted and solve disputes quickly. It's heavy on that, so maybe that's something that happened recently, but I'll try to make it more general as well. Like, I feel like you're somebody who is really funny, and so you can diffuse something quickly because you're just funny. It's like you can just say a joke and then it's kind of over, or like the awkward moment's done because you made it funny. Like you can brighten any situation, and you can also get out of anything with the 8 of Cups here too. So And I feel like your way of getting out of things is by saying something funny and then leaving, or it's like closing the conversation in a funny way, or putting a cap on everything. You have like a mic drop ability here, which people really admire. But like, again, most of the time, I don't see it as being this mean thing. I see it as like people admire this like funny, lighthearted aspect of you that allows you to, you know, maintain your dignity in any conversation because you have that sense of humor. Yeah, I was catching on to this a little bit. You can be a little bit sneakier even, and people admire this. Like, you can kind of side-eye situations because you have like the jester's privilege of like, it's funny, it's entertaining, so you get away with it. You can say that. But that actually switches around situations on like a sports team, or situations in a workplace, or situations in a friend dynamic. We need humor to kind of wrangle everybody, but in a way that makes them still feel good. And like, there's no beef. It's just, you know, that was a dumb thing to say, or there's no beef, but let's stop talking about that, or something to that effect. Like, you're good at those little moments, and people really admire this, and they notice this about you. And again, all the while, you maintain this really light presence, a sweet presence. Again, you're no less likely to be invited to the hangout because you've called something out, that you're no less likely, because you're still very important here. I just keep getting that with like some, you know, like honey, you know, I don't know. There's just something about it where it's like you can just get away with it. But it's more than getting away with it, because people like it. People like, and it's almost like at the end of it, they don't remember that they were even called out. They just remember having a good time with you, and they want to invite you back, even though maybe next time you'll say a joke at their expense too, you know? Like, but again, it's not harsh. And again, this is, why are people admiring you? So remember the titles when you're watching these videos. But yeah, you're very easy to talk to. Everyone wants to talk to you. Everyone would want you on their team. I think, you know, some people have that thing where they get picked at last in dodgeball. You'd be the one to get picked first. Here, pile one. So people admire this about you, that you are so good and so reliable and so fun to be around, that of course you're going to get picked first every single time. And you're going to get promoted every single time, and you're going to be chosen as employee of the month every single time, because you're both handy in a situation, and you're really fun to talk to, and you have that leadership, sense of humor quality. Judgment. I think people really admire your judgment here. Pile number 1, ending with the 4 of Swords. And even if you don't want to, yeah, there's something about like you, even if you don't want to have this conflict, or you didn't want to be a part of this situation, you still handle it with care, and you're still, again, reliable, very reliable. Yeah, your judgment here is kind of a never-ending well, so you'd be a great employee. I think this quality comes out a lot about you at work here, because this is where that quality would come out, right? It's just the fact that you're so reliable, and you know how to assess most any situation that could come up. Like, you have a really good eye for things here. And you're able to say what needs to be said without really saying it. Or like, you're good at those kind of tricky political situations where you have to like be a little bit underhanded just to get along, you know, like a business office kind of workplace. You have to be able to work by yourself, and you also have to be able to work with others. And to maintain your footing in that place, you need to be reliable and show your good reputation. I think you know how to connect with everybody in a group. Or again, you could work with anybody, but it's like in the way they're admiring it, it's more about a set group of people, you know. So I'm really feeling like workplace or friend group or something like that. So yeah, that is what I've got for you. Pile number 1, this is what people are admiring about you. Feel free to pick another pile, but let's pull some music videos. This is perfect for you. Yeah. I think people also admire that you're missed. You know, you're missed when you call off work. You're missed when you don't show up for class. Like, you're missed. Dang, okay. Yeah. People really like to see you. They like to admire. Yeah, and you're able to say what needs said. You have a really good sense for saying what needs said. And you can kind of easily judge what needs done. At least that's how it comes across to other people. This is what they're admiring about you. They feel like it's easy for you, or they always need you there. But I think some of them do just want you there because you're charming and fun, and they can say it's because of your great work. I think you even get credit for doing even better work than you may feel you do, you know? So always try to achieve more, of course. But I think that you get more credit for it because people really just enjoy your company. And that is a good skill to have too. But it's just funny that it's in the energy. I feel like they're admiring your work, but then I'm feeling in the energy that also they're really admiring your conversation skills and how much they enjoy your company. So yeah, that is what I've got for you, pile number 1. Thank you very much, and I will see you next time. Okay, pile number 2, working hands. So I do feel like I have to start out by saying people really admire your hard work. They admire the work you do. You seem like that person that's like first to show up, last to leave. You know, somebody who doesn't mind doing the extra credit, or really tries to do their best to make sure that their work is excellent. Yeah, you seem like a hardworking type. You also seem like someone who is not afraid of a change or not upset by change. You handle change really well. Okay. You're very patient. I think people really admire your patience. Maybe they saw you dealing with a difficult person. I keep getting the image of a nurse here. So you could be someone who's really hardworking and you can deal with the difficult patients, or yeah, if something crashes, it doesn't throw you off for the whole day. Okay, so let's see. Okay, I mean, it is called O'Keeffe, so maybe like Georgia O'Keeffe. Like, people could admire your artwork if you do artwork. They could also admire your taste. I think people like your taste in things. They like your eye for detail and your aesthetic. Okay, what do people admire about pile number 2? 10, 10, 1, okay, wow. Capricorn, and Aries. So I feel like also 2 10s though, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, people could admire your reputation. They could also admire your self-respect. Let's see. And yeah, 10 is all about your career too. So people could admire your career path. They could admire your trajectory. If you've had a lot of different kinds of jobs, I feel like they admire that. They're like, oh, that's interesting. I feel like people find that interesting about you. And they admire that you're able to kind of fit in to different roles. Maybe you have had careers that are vastly different. That happens a lot, you know. Like, my best friend is went to culinary school and is a chef, and then she also has a degree in astrophysics. So it's like just something interesting, you know? Like, I don't know if there's just something interesting about your career path, or you've done vastly different kinds of jobs or something like that, and people do admire this about you. Or even it could be something where you've switched religions or you've changed your mindset on something. Like, yeah, just a big change about something kind of important though, like a job or personality, or hey, you could be trans or something, and like people are admiring that you know yourself well enough. I think it's funny because, like, when you have, you know, things about your identity that people question, I feel like sometimes it can make you know yourself better than a lot of other people. So there's something about that with you where you seem to know yourself better than other people know themselves. Okay. What do people secretly admire about pile number 2? I want more than what we have. There is this thing about, like, you knowing how to assert your needs, or ask for what you want in life, or like you're a big high achiever, somebody who shoots for the moon, wants to achieve this grand aesthetic. That's another thing I'm seeing about you that people admire. I feel like, yeah, you have like a higher view too that people admire. People admire this intensity about you, that you're so direct with what you want out of life, and you seem like high-powered and full of ideas here. I will be back. I want more than what we have, and I will be back. I think that people might admire that you can get an ex back or something. People can admire that you attract a lot of people to you, you know, and people want to be near you. If you let me, I'll take care of you. I think that people, though, they admire that you kind of like to do your own thing. You'd prefer to do it yourself. I feel like you're a do-it-yourselfer here. And people do admire this about you, no matter what they try to say. Let's see. This could be the one. You've already met the romantic partner you seek. You have a lot of good qualities here, pile 2. People admire your bullet point list, I think. Also, you seem very caring. Like, I was really getting that make the effort, great love. Yeah, you're somebody who definitely makes an effort. You will work hard for what you want. You're not slowing down. You're not taking a back seat. I feel like also you are very loving and caring with children or the elderly or the sick or something like that, because I do get a nurse here. So if you're a nurse, hi. People really admire this about you. I admire it about you, definitely. It's a hard job and it can grate on your nerves, but I feel like you have something where things just don't grate on your nerves the way they might with other people. Yeah, you have a high pain tolerance. That could be another thing people admire about you. What do people admire about pile number 2? Be at peace and life is a mystery. Cute. Life is a mystery. What do people admire? You just can't be stopped here. Pile 2. I think people really admire that. You just can't be stopped, and you're always going to have hope for the future no matter what happens, and you're just going to keep on keeping on. Like, you have like that very determined outlook that a lot of people admire about you. What else do people admire about pile number 2? 10 again. I feel like you know how to celebrate a win. That's another thing I'm getting about you. Like, you'd be the type, I think you're the type to show up for people's wins and be really excited when they win. Like, you're a great cheerleader here, pile 2, and people admire this about you, but I also feel like they admire how you root for yourself. You want to win. You're not afraid of saying, I really think I'm going to win, or I know I'm going to win, or I'm going to be able to do this. Like, you're very sure of yourself, but it's more than that. You're excited. You're passionate about the win. You're passionate about the achievement you want to do. You're passionate about your work. I feel like that's another thing people admire, like your passion and your drive to get things done. And you just don't seem to get tired. I feel like you're a hard worker here. The Hangman. Yeah, and there's some things in life where the hard work is to wait, you know, and you're good at that too. I feel like people admire your, I guess it's like stick-to-itiveness, or your ability to see out a long project, because I was kind of tapping into that. You see the big picture. You look for like the end goal, you know, and you really believe it's coming. You wait for the best possible option. You don't settle. Like, I think that's something that people really admire about you. You never settle. Okay. Oh, and the world and the hangman. It's like you will wait for the cycle to close. Like, you'll make sure it does. Interesting. You'll make sure it works out. You know, there's some things in life that you just have to be like, I'm going to make sure it happens. So, yeah, and I feel like you're good about those moments. An example would be, yes, every night you have to lock your door. Or like, yes, every night you have to make sure your windows are closed so that rain doesn't get in. There are some things that require you to commit to, yes, every single time this will happen. Like, and again, you could have a job like that where maybe you're a security guard, and so if you don't show up and do your job, somebody could get hurt, you know, or if you fall asleep on the job, then somebody could get hurt or something like that. And so you have that confidence in yourself that, no, I'm going to do it right every single time. I'm never going to. And again, this does bring me back to a nurse where you can't just be like, oh, you know, sometimes it happens. Like when you're a nurse, you know, because you could really hurt someone. So yeah, even if it's not about your job, I think you have that quality where you believe it. And I believe it as well. And I admire this, that you are that able to handle those kind of intense situations, or you're able to handle a crisis or an emergency. Maybe you work in emergency services or something, and you're really good in an emergency. And people admire this. Or they've seen you in an emergency. Maybe they went through an earthquake with you, and they saw how you acted, and they were really impressed by that, and people really admired this about you. So if you did go through something kind of crazy, you know, like I remember I had one comment one time on the video, like that they were held up at a gunpoint, you know, when their store was robbed or something. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. But that happens to people, you know, so maybe it happened to you and people really admired how you handled that situation. Could be. But it could also be like, I'm thinking of another situation where my mom and I were on a canoe trip, and our canoe kept, you know, flipping over. Neither of us had ever done that before. And so it was scary, actually. And there had been flooding, and we didn't look it up. We didn't know that beforehand. So anyway, maybe you went through something like that, or like you went with a friend somewhere on a trip, like a camping trip, and you guys were woefully unprepared, and they admired how you handled it. That's the vibe I'm getting here. Or like a really difficult class, and people admired how you handled the class, or yeah, that you managed to pass or do all the extra work to pass. Ace of Swords. You're very honest. You're a straightforward person here, pal, too, and people really admire this about you. Or maybe this is just one aspect of your personality that people really admire, and it is your straightforward nature and how you're not, you just go straight forward. You go straight forward. You're like, this is my goal. This is what I want. And then you go out and you do that and you achieve that. Yeah, you're driven too. Like, you're very driven. You keep an eye on your North Star. Like, there's a lot of stuff like that in my mind for you, pal, too, where it's like you have your end goal in mind and nothing will dissuade you from it. You're very passionate towards this one thing that you want, and you don't let anything take you off course. So again, you could be good at navigation. That's another thing. Maybe people admire how you always know, you don't have to use Google Maps for anything, and you always know where you are. I would admire that in you. But yeah, that is what I've got for you, pile number 2. So let's go ahead and pull some music videos. Let's see. What do people admire about pile number 2? Wow. That is the perfect music video for you. What I want. You do what you want, you know, and you're not making any compromises at this time or something. Like you, and people really admire this. Okay. And then again, this is reminding me of the part where we were saying like you want the best of the best in a relationship too. So maybe you you have very high standards and you want to achieve them, and people admire this about you, or you want to be in love or nothing, kind of vibes here. And then here I'm saying you could be that kind of person who pursues someone until you've got them, you know, because, or like, you know, that's the kind of vibe I'm getting here. Yeah, no compromise, no compromise. Very loving. Yeah, great boundaries. You have great boundaries. Okay, so that is what I've got for you. Pile number 2. Thank you very much. I'll link these down below, and I will see you next time. Okay. Pile number 3. You're smooth. People admire how smooth you are. James Bond over here. Smooth criminal. Okay. You're very slick. Yeah, I'm just getting that from you. Like, you're slick. You have a spy quality here. Okay. Maybe even like a mathematical thing to you here. Like American Psycho, attention to detail kind of vibe. Okay, what do people admire about pile number 3? 5 is Leo. 9 is Sagittarius. You know how to keep things hidden though. There's like this sense of like, you know how to keep a secret, and people admire this about you. Oh, and then we got Scorpio over here. I didn't even notice that yet. I was just getting that because it's like intelligence hidden in the weeds over here. What do people admire about pile number 3? Innovation. Yeah. You are very innovative. I like the way you look at things. I think you look at things in a very different way, and you're able to take a different approach than others. A radical approach. You almost have like an inventor type of personality here, like a scientist or something like that. Or, yeah, again, I was getting like mathematician. If you wrote novels, I feel like you write sci-fi novels or something here, because it's like a lot of factors. That's what I'm sensing. Okay. Do people admire? Support and trust. Yeah, you're really smart. You're really smart. You're really smart. I like what you have to say. I think you get people on your side. You have that debate skill here. What do people secretly admire? Or what do people admire? Nine of Swords. You know, people really admire how busy your mind is. It's like I think it's admiring your intelligence level basically, but it's also like how many tabs you can have open and be thinking about them at the same time. Maybe you're a really good multitasker. Or you can like take in a lot of stimulus to create something. Yeah, you're really good at seeing the bigger picture. Again, I keep getting like that phrase, seeing the forest through the trees or something like that. So again, let's see, King of Pentacles and Knight of Swords. People secretly admire. You see things nobody else sees, like, and you're really good at pointing things out. And Scorpio is like psychology, and they're also like transformation. Scorpio, Sagittarius, Leo. I've been getting a lot of new energy on my channel. It's very interesting. It does take me just like a little bit longer to pick up on. Because I feel like a lot of tarot readers experience this where they're like, they have their audience and you start being like, oh my gosh, and here's the pile that like always talks about. I remember Lexi the Leo had that group that would always pick like the water pile, you know, and I feel like I've experienced that too, where you kind of feel like you get to know the energy. So I have feeling new energy on the channel here. So hi if you're new, and hi if you've already been here, or maybe you're just experiencing something new here. But yeah, let's see. I feel like people admire the way you speak, and you speak with such conviction that people believe you and people want to be on your side. You have almost a car salesman here trait, where I think you could sell ice to an Eskimo, is what they say. So you do have that convincing others ability, but it's almost like a crazed, like, I love the way you have such an engaged and kind of awake, alive. You're that scientist in a movie explaining how they just discovered something. I'm thinking of that Mr. Fantastic, you know, where it's like, you're just like, and then we do this, and then we do this, and isn't that crazy? You know, and you're really, I love that quality about you. I really admire how passionate you are about what you're talking about. And again, passionately able to convince people, because it's not just I'm admiring it because I think you're cute or something. It's like, it's you rally the troops here. You're a great rallier. Okay. Yeah, Three of Pentacles. There's something about working with others, because you're able to get support for your project, or that you're able to, you know, sell that car directly one-to-one. You're selling it. Like, you have a sales capacity here that I think comes from your knowledge and your ability to kind of get heated about a topic, but you're like using people's psychology or something, like a car salesman. But it's like innovative, so I don't want you to take it in a negative way. I just mean that's a good example of the kind of trait I think people like in you. Even if they don't think they would agree with you, you would be able to sway them. That's what I'm trying to get at. Even if they don't actually think it's a good idea, you would be able to sway someone. So, of course, if it is a good idea, you're definitely going to be able to sway someone. What do people admire about pile number 3? Eight of Pentacles. Yeah, you know what you're doing. Like, I just feel like you know what you're doing, and people do admire this about you. It's almost like you're an old pro at this or whatever. It just seems like everything you do, you're kind of an old pro. And people do admire this. But if there's something in particular you do, like you make pottery, people find you to be very good. So especially if you're new at this, they really admire that, because you already seem like a pro. So whatever you're doing that you're new at or you're old at, I think everybody just sees you as a pro and they admire it. Let's just funny to get the 7 and the 8 of Pentacles. That's wild. Because, yeah, that's what I was kind of getting at, is if it's new, you're working hard. If it's old, you're working hard. Also, people could admire that you have old connections and new connections. That could be another thing, where you're just as good with the new employees as you are with the tenured ones. Or if you're in like the nursing profession, you could be just as good with the older nurses as you are the younger nurses, which I hear is a whole little thing. But yeah, or you could be just as good with older clients as you are younger ones. Like when I was in massage therapy, there were people who would only work with older clients, and then there were some people that never worked with minors, for example, and then there were those like you, I feel like would be somebody who could work with a minor and could work with the elderly. So you have that ability to, or maybe you can talk to young people and you can talk to old people. Okay. And people admire this about you. If you do paperwork, people admire how well you do the paperwork. I think a lot of people admire your work in general. Been getting that a lot lately. It's like smiling while you work as well. And again, we were getting that kind of like, you are very passionate in general. Like, I just feel like you're passionate doing whatever you're doing. Oh, I just got that scene of in 50 First Dates where Drew Barrymore's character is painting the garage again for the 100th time. I mean, she doesn't know it's the 100th time, but maybe you do. And maybe you're that kind of person who you do the same thing every day, but you're just as happy doing it. Or you have to clean every day, you know, like, but you always offer to do the dishes because it's fun for you. Like, you also know how to make hard work fun, and people admire this about you. You could be always offering to do the paperwork for others or something. The Hangman. Doing it. Whistling while you work here is definitely a part of what people admire about you. Like a smile on your face while you're doing anything. Whole range of activities here. And maybe also people admire how busy your day is, or like everything you do in a day. I think people also admire your kind of bold, it's like you have an open sense about you. You're being very open with people, and that's what they think anyway. So I feel like people admire this about you, how open you are and how like you wear your heart on your sleeve. That's the kind of vibe I'm getting from this admiration, is like people feel like they really know you, and they get to know you through these conversations, and you don't have a mask on. You're really being authentic. You're being yourself. And that is a great trait for a salesperson or somebody in a service professional situation. Like, you want to seem like yourself while also being very happy. So if this is just a skill, then you're doing it well. But for some of you, maybe this is just your personality, or this is just how you are. And people do admire this, how you can just maintain a sense of happiness while you're working, or while you're waiting, or while you have to. Yeah, because there is this thing about like, you don't get frustrated in traffic, or like you don't get frustrated waiting in line because you're thinking about something else, or you're doing something with that time. You could be that person that always wears headphones around, and people admire this because they're like, well, they look like they're having fun. You know, like, you know how to make the downtime still work for you. Two of Swords. You know how to work hard for something that might never happen. Like when you plant a tree of apples, some of them fall to the ground and they're rotten, you know, and that's okay. Like you're good about that sort of thing. Like if a plan doesn't work out, you just move on and do the next plan. Yeah, people also admire how you're careful, but you're also creative. So you know how to take a risk while also doing what works. So again, I am getting like in a project sense, you know, if you're like a project manager, introducing things for the product that are interesting enough and kind of have that spark to be something different and to keep everyone engaged and to maybe push things forward, but then are steady and reliable enough that we know they're going to work out and they're definitely going to be useful for the workload or something. So anyway, I think that's your eye, though. That's your eye for detail. That's your eye for risk versus reward. You have a really good sense of risk versus reward here. So that is what I've got for you, pile number 3. Thank you very much, and I will see you next time. Oh, actually, you need some music videos. What else? People admire about pile number 3. Okay, you could definitely be passionate in your conversation, like we were saying, but maybe also when you're angry. Not afraid of being different. And we were sensing that. You're really yourself, and people can tell. But you know how to convince someone or like plead your case or something like that. Yeah, so maybe also you could have a job where you have to talk, and so you're good at like, yeah, pleading your case or something. Okay, these are the last 2. People could definitely admire your charm. You definitely have an ability to get what you want. And also, like, say what you want to say. Or, yeah, something about, like, getting your point across. Or, even unique way of getting your point across, I would say. And people admire that as well. They like where you're coming from. It's innovative. So that is what I've got for you. Thank you very much, pile number 3. I really appreciate it. Please leave me a like or a comment and subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time. Stronger than yesterday. Away. My loneliness ain't killing me no more. Pile number 4. I think if you have like a rags to riches situation, people could admire that. Let's see. People could admire like your transformation. If you have like, you know, a body transformation, or you have like a style transformation, or again, like rags or riches or something, people could definitely admire that about you. Yeah, I do keep getting like the butterfly from a chrysalis. Okay. It could also be like maybe you healed from something traumatic, though. You could also have like healed from a bad injury. And people admire this. People could admire that you went to therapy, or like your therapy journey. Okay. So what do people admire about pile number 4? 7 is Libra, 6 is Virgo, 8 is Scorpio. 6, 7, 8. Yeah, your progression. I feel like people admire your progression. And if that's in whatever that I think for you, pile 4, it's going to be in multiple different spheres. Fun fact about me, I've gotten most improved in every sport I've ever been in. A physical award every time. So they, several different schools, no relation. So yeah, you have that quality here of most improved. Pile 4 of like, no matter where you start when you join something, like you're going to be the one that makes the biggest leap in terms of quality or something. Like, you might be that kind of person who's okay with going into something you don't know anything about, just jumping all in and starting over. The example I just got also was like, maybe you move to a country without knowing the language and then you learn the language. And so people really admire this. They find you very impressive. I think your mind is very impressive here. I think people also find your body to be very impressive. Okay. Just your overall stature, like the way you look is impressive. Oh, and it's funny because like this is what do people admire about you. So I guess people are admiring how much they're impressed by you. I keep messing up my words with yours too. Pink bubble fairy. Cast your sacred symbols. People admire about pile number 4. Yeah, it's almost like on a wing and a prayer. Like, I feel like people admire your luck. Okay. You have kind of weird ideas or quirky ideas, but they work out. Maybe you wanted to do something different than people that you knew, or you wanted to start a business that people told you wasn't a good idea or something like that. And so people admire that you pushed past that and created something great or something. Maybe you have your own business. If so, congratulations. But a lot of people admire that about you. You could also have like a niche job where it's like you're the officer of the lilies at some garden center or something. Like you have something like that where it's like, I didn't even know that kind of job existed. And so people admire that. The one who needs to control. What do people admire? You know how to combat pushback. People admire how you push against the norm, or you push against a hard, like pushing against the glass ceiling or something, like pushing against a system that doesn't want you to win. Or but it also could just be pushing past competition or pushing past bad odds, like the odds were against you. Okay? Yeah, the odds were against you. The hold. What do people admire? Oof. Yeah, so people could admire you escaping a bad situation, or you escaping a hard home life, or something to that effect. But definitely if you have an ex that everyone hated and you got rid of, they admire that you got rid of them. They admire that you were able to escape an abusive situation. If that's for you, then people definitely admire that, and I'm getting that heavily. But for people who weren't in that kind of situation, they're just admiring your hardworking, like pushing past difficulties. Like you're really good at pushing past difficulties. Okay, noble. You're kind of a weird here, and people admire that. They admire that you are just different, you know, and you just kind of embrace your difference. Inside looking out. People secretly admire pile number 4. Again, it's like a true change in your circumstances that maybe took you a long time. because we got at the bottom of the deck, I got restlessness and like the clock here. So yeah, there could be something where you felt like you were fighting against the clock, or you had to wait something out until you were able to leave it. I'm getting like an NDA where you couldn't talk about it until you were out of it, or you just had to wait for the paperwork to go through before you could get out. Again, this is giving like a bad situation, but it could also be like if you were in a situation recently where, you know, you had to wait to move out of your, you know, with your roommate who was terrible, and they admire how you handled it all. They admire your takeaways too. I feel like people admire you have like a nice nature about it. I don't know, the way you describe things is also something people admire. Because again, maybe you had a really hard time, but like you don't really want to sit there and be super mean about it, or like the way you handle it after is also something people admire. And you really give yourself time. I feel like people admire how you give yourself time to rest, you give yourself time to heal. You're somebody who takes your boundaries and your personal mental health really seriously. It's like taking your peace seriously, taking your heart seriously, and like putting yourself first. And people really admire this, how you put yourself first and you healed yourself and you came through on the other side. Also, like seeing hard truths. I think people really admire how you can see the hard truth of a situation and deal with it. And people admire how you can rely on your friends and rely on your own sense of knowing what happened too. You have a strong character, very strong character here, Pile 4, and people really admire this. You pushed through a really hard circumstance. That's what I'm saying. People know this, they admire it, and they like how you've handled it as well, because it's good enough the way you got out of it, but I think people admire the person you are today because of it or something. Also, you brought a lot more color into your life. I feel like you really had an active hand in improving your own happiness. Yeah, you know how to make yourself happy. That's another thing. Fucked up. Liked you for a really long time. I'm still healing. Yeah. It's you really know how to give yourself time though. You give yourself time to rest. You give yourself time to recover. And people do recognize this and they respect it and they admire it. I think you teach people what they should kind of, or what they're allowed to do, because it's not even about teaching. I feel like you serve as an inspiration that it's okay to take time out to heal, or it's okay to have made mistakes and try to recover from them, or yeah. And people learn that from you because they see you doing it. You know how to bring love into situations, and I feel like you know how to bring love into your own life. Like you're really a self-made individual, and people really admire that about you. But it's self-made because we all need help, but you have to like be the one to be the active chooser in the situation, I guess. Yeah, you saved yourself. That's kind of what I'm feeling. Start over. What do people admire? Yeah, that you're really good at starting over. I feel like that's actually a great card to get here for you, pile number 4, because I feel like that is what people admire about you, your ability to start over. So let's see if there's anything else random, because I do feel like people also really admire your style. People admire the kind of colors that you like, or maybe even the way you decorate your home. People could admire your accessories, okay? People also admire that you're willing to admit when you've made a mistake so that you can fix it, you know? Let's see. What do people admire about pile number 4? Gratitude. I think people do admire your gratitude for life and how you really try to take joy out of your life and your experiences. And maybe that was because of a time when you couldn't, or you had to wait to experience the life you wanted. Guilt. I release any beliefs that no longer assist in my soul's growth. It's like you changed your mind on things, or you changed your life in some way. And people do admire this. Acceptance. I'm learning to accept the things I cannot change. Yeah, it's like you accepted the things you couldn't change, and you changed the things you couldn't accept. You know, our cheesy phrase for the day. Perfect. So I think actually we're gonna pull one of these. What else do people admire? Pile number 4. That you've released your ex, and that you really cleared your energy, and you actually moved on. A lot of people don't. A lot of people never move on, and so people do admire this from you. Pile number 4. So we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for joining me. Let's pull some music videos. Interesting. Yeah, or you could have, people could also admire how long you hold on to things, or that you'll take the extra time to make sure something is good. I do get the idea that maybe some of you had to get a divorce or something like that. And so you had to wait a long time to make sure your kids were good or something like that. I don't know. Something to that effect. You'll have to know for yourself, I think, with this. Let's see. What do people admire about pile number 4? But this is the second, like, long-term relationship thing there. So it also could be, like, long-term friendships, the connection you have with close family members, or it could literally be people admire your relationship and how long it's gone on, or something to that effect. People also admire that you know how to have fun. Also, these two, also all of these women actually are super put together, and I love their aesthetic. It's kind of fun, and it's also really classy and romantic. So I feel like you have that kind of style, and people do admire that. Glad he's gone. Okay, and I think maybe you're very loving as well. I could also see this being like someone admiring that you stuck by a friend throughout their, you know, toxic situationship, or like you stuck by somebody when they were going through a really hard time or something. And people see this and they admire that about you. So that is what I've got for you, pile number 4. Thank you very much. I appreciate you being here on my channel. Definitely leave me a comment, subscribe for more, and I will see you next time.